Hello guys, in this video I want to talk about the language Tagalog. Probably you know it, I'm learning Tagalog and I'm sharing some elements of the language and I'm telling you what the similarities are with other languages. I'm talking about how hard the language is or how easy it can be, so people can decide if they like to learn the language or not. First of all, there are not a lot of polyglots or language learners who are learning Tagalog. It's not a really popular language. Most language learners are learning Arabic, Portuguese or Spanish. So yeah, it's extra special if you can speak this language, and I'm sure that many people from the Philippines will appreciate it if you can speak it. So alright, so first I want to talk about some easy elements of the language. Yeah, like there are a lot of similarities with the Spanish language. So if you already know some Spanish, or if you are a native speaker of the Spanish language, then you have a big advantage. Besides, oh yeah, like 20% of the vocabulary of Tagalog is Spanish, and also there are also a lot of English words in Tagalog. So for example, my practice is a Tagalog word. So if you can speak English really well, that's also really great advantage for you. Last but not least, there are also Indonesian influences in the language. So like the way how it sounds like a mix of Spanish and Indonesian, but there are also words which they also use in the Indonesian language. So you need to learn Tagalog and then you will see what I mean. Okay, another advantage of Tagalog is that writing and speaking is almost the same. So if you can speak the language, then you can probably also write it. And for example, language like Danish, the way how you write it is totally different if you compare it with how you speak it. So that's really cool if you're learning Tagalog. Besides that, Tagalog also has an European alphabet, so you don't need to learn another way of writing. So that's really cool. Tagalog also doesn't have any tones, so compared with other Asian languages, it's really easy because you don't have those annoying tones. Like there are not, you don't have feminine and masculine articles like in other Roman languages like Spanish or Portuguese, or French. So that's also an advantage, and you don't have that. The conjugations are changing. When you're talking about he, she, it or we, the verb is the same. There is something else with the verbs in Tagalog, but I will tell it later. So I'm now going to talk about the harder elements. The words in Tagalog can be really long, so sometimes you really have to, like when you're telling one phrase, sometimes twice as long if you compare it with an English phrase. For example, gusto kong ipakilala sa inyo ang kaibigan ko means I want to introduce you to my friend. So in Tagalog it sounds longer. One of the hardest parts of Tagalog is the word order. It's really hard to construct phrases. Many times you're starting the sentence with the adjective. So for example, when you want to say he is big, then you're saying malaki siya. So malaki is big, siya, that means he. Siya can be he, she, or it. So also with he, she, or it, you can always say siya. So that makes Tagalog a lot easier sometimes. About the verbs, I already said you don't have the conjugations, but the verb is changing depending on which situation you have. So every situation, like when you have another situation, the verb is changing and is a different word, and that makes Tagalog really hard. So for example, eating has a lot of different ways how you can say, like kumain, kainin, kain. So you have to learn that. Another thing what's really hard for Tagalog is that you can't compare it with other languages. Tagalog is like when you're speaking Tagalog, you really have to focus on small details which are not necessary in other languages. So you have words like lang, palang, na, so that means already or still. And a lot of Filipino speakers are using these words to emphasize something or to yeah, to talk more specifically, and it really takes some time before you're used to use those words. Okay, below the comments I have some links for you, some great links. One link is from a really good Filipino speaker. He is not a native speaker, but he's speaking really good Tagalog, and you can learn 16,000 phrases. And another link has his YouTube channel. I use it as well. So make sure to check out the links if you want to learn Tagalog. And good luck, guys.